So one of the challenges in teaching children about multiplying and dividing with decimals is that they focus on the rule and they don't have any number sense. And we want to try and teach them number sense. So before teaching them the rules, it is better to start to develop their sense of numbers and what the answer should be. And one of the things that you can do with children is you can give them an example and ask them then to place the decimal points with related examples. So if I say that 16 times 81 is 1,296, and I would give this to children, then I might ask them, so what is 16 times 81 hundredths? And I can estimate that and say, well, 16 times 81 hundredths is almost 1, so it's going to be close to 16. So I look at this number here. I have 1296. Where would I put the decimal point to get that close to 16? I would put the decimal point here. So that means that 16 times 81 hundredths is 12 and 96 hundredths. If I had 1 6/10 times 8 1/10, I can say, well, that's about 1.5 times 8. And 8 times 1 is 8, and about half of that's 4, so 1.5 times 8 is about 12. So I look at these digits and I say, well, if I put the decimal point here, that's close to 12. So 1 6/10 times 8 1/10 is 12 and 96 hundredths. If I have 16 hundredths times 81 hundredths, I can say, well, this is about 1, and this is, about, between 1/10 and 2/10. So I'm going to get something that's about 1 times about 1/10. So I'm going to get something that's about 1/10. So the decimal point's going to go here. And I can add a leading 0 to make it more obvious where my decimal point is. So I have 16 hundredths times 81 hundredths is 1,296 10,000ths. If I have 1 6/10 times 81, 1 6/10 is about 1.5 times 81. So I'd have 80 plus about another 40 is about 120. So I would have 129 and 6/10. So similar to multiplying with decimals, if we divide with decimals, many people get confused about where does the decimal point go. And one of the easier things to do is, again, have children estimate so they know about what the answer should be, and they can then place the decimal point. So if I look at this first problem, 146 divided by 7. Well, I can say 7 times 10 is 70. 7 times 20 is 140. So my answer needs to be about 20. So my decimal point needs to go here. So 146 divided by 70 is 20 and 857 thousandths. And then I can use that information to figure out where to put the decimal points in all of these. 146 divided by 7/10. Well, I could say 7/10 times 10 is 7. 7/10 times 100 is 70. 7/10 times 200 is 140. So it's going to be about 200. 208 and 57 hundredths would be my answer. If I have 1 46 hundredths divided by 7, I can say, well, 7 times 10 is 70. That's too much. 7 times 1 is 7, so it's going to be less than 1. 7 times 1/10 is 7/10. 7 times 2/10 would be 1 4/10. But again, I know 7 times 1 is 7, so it has to be less than 1. So my decimal point is going to go here in front of the 2, and I get 0 and 2, 20,857 hundredths. And then my last problem, I have 14 6/10 divided by 7/10. 7/10 times 10 is 7. It's still less. 7/10 times 20 is 14, so it's going to be about 20. So I have 20 and 857 thousandths.